Caloroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jerry Seinfeld in the news yet again. Howard Stern has accepted Jerry's apology on his radio show. Howard said, Jerry had said that I'm basically an interviewer and that I'm not a comedian, that now comedians have podcasts and comedians are, funnier or something than me. I read it and I went, oh, that's weird because Jerry's a personal friend of ours, especially his wife Jessica is really good friends with Beth Stern. Stern confirmed that Seinfeld called him, quote, immediately to apologize for the comments, and Stern was happy to forgive his friend. Per Howard, I said, Jerry, you don't even have to. Please, this is embarrassing. I'm the king of going on the air and having millions of regrets afterward. Apology accepted. I don't care. And you know what? I'm not a comedian. I'm an interviewer. I don't know what I am. I've always considered myself a bit of a comedian, but whatever it is, don't worry about it. Time out. Here's Howard yet again, positioning himself as the great interviewer. Third act Howard. Revisionist history Howard. Not the guy that did Bestiality Dial Date. No, not the guy that had women come in and ride a device that I can't even describe if I want to keep my podcast clean. Not that guy. Not the guy that did blackface. Not the guy that was rude to Bob Hope when Bob was like 95. Not the guy that had a war with Bon Jovi. Not the guy that had a war with Sam Kinison. Not the guy that didn't book people like Gilbert Gottfried once this third act thing started. Howard, if he's not a comedian, he's an interviewer, per Howard Stern. I don't know what I am. I've always considered myself a bit of a comedian, but whatever it is, don't worry about it. Stern explained that Seinfeld apologized for a really long time, and he said it came out really wrong. According to Howard, Jerry asked to come on the radio show to apologize there, but Stern said, not necessarily. I don't want to get into it. It's awkward. It's fine. I've had to call up people and apologize for stuff I've done on the air when I'm a huge fan of these people. I don't know what gets into me. I F up sometimes, so it wasn't that big a deal. I didn't really think much about it. Now, this is me being immature. I think a all-out radio war with 1985 Howard Stern killing Jerry over this just for the drama of it. That's what we loved, Howard. Taking the high road and going, it's okay. I mean, where's the fun in that? Hey, Sam Kinison, it's all cool. Bon Jovi, don't worry about it. Where's the fun in that? Hey, Zookeeper, peace, bro. Where's the fun in that, Howard? Howard Stern, the great interviewer. Ignore the part before 2015. I'm in a good mood today. I don't pick the news. I just tell you what the news is. Andrew Schultz compared Kim Kardashian to a robot with no human aspect. Schultz was on his own podcast, Flagrant, and said that Kim sat with perfect posture for 3 hours straight and seemed disassociated during the roast of Tom Brady, which we're still talking about 10 days later. Schultz said even when she was up there, they were kind of booing her. It didn't make her smile. It didn't make her sad. It was nothing. Kim's up there doing her set, and this guy in the stands out of nowhere just goes, bitch. It was just as if he'd been holding it in for a whole minute and he just couldn't hold it in anymore. Just seeing Kim Kardashian on stage for 3 minutes was too much for him to hold it in. Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura on the Two Bears podcast, they had Jimmy Carr on. I was trying to go back through the Facebook group to thank whoever told me to listen to this. Thank you, whoever it was, Dylan, Scott, whoever it was, thank you. I pulled several clips here. First up, here's Burt and Tom talking about how they prepped for the roast.
Oh, let's talk about our experience with the roast.
We get a call like a month ago. And they say, hey, we're doing this roast of Tom Brady. Would you be interested in doing it? And you go...
I said, yes, we're both in.
And I go, no.
You said, absolutely not.
I go, no.
You were like, there's nothing we can win out of this.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we've never been on roast. We're not roasters or anything. But then they said, we're trying something different where we want you guys to do it together. And even then I was like, you mean like just go to the podium together and roast together? And they were like, no, we want to do like, we're thinking of like trying something that we've never done before.
I think they wanted a Sports Center thing first.
Yeah.
And we were like, nah, I got to give flowers. I gave them to you last night. I'll give them to everyone.
Yeah. Well,
you said no. And you called me and you said, we're not saying yes yet. We're going to have a meeting with Netflix. We're going to talk through with the writers.
Yeah.
And with the producers. So we got on a thing, and in a 30-minute Zoom call, I spoke zero, which I think everyone will find shocking.
Yeah, that's true.
And you talked the whole time, and you had a million questions of things, angles you liked, angles you wanted to do, things you were cool to do. You liked the multimedia presentation. You liked it being different than everyone else's.
Yeah.
Because you're like, in there, you can't really draw a comparison because it's apples and oranges. So we can succeed on our own or fail on our own.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you were like, Burt, do you have any do you have anything to say? And I said yes Thursday.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, I said yes Thursday.
I said yes before we had any idea what we were doing.
Then Jimmy Carr joined. What was interesting to me about the Jimmy Carr segment, and I could listen to Jimmy Carr talk about comedy all day, apparently, because I did it this morning and I did it yesterday. This turned into a conversation between Burt Kreischer and Jimmy Carr. Segura kind of disappeared during it. I don't think there's anything weird going on, or maybe Burt was just excited, but, I'm listening for an hour and I'm like, is Segura even there? I got a text. Did you hear the text? I'm going to get more texts. I'm supposed to be ordering lunch from Jersey Mike's. So the family's going to be texting me orders. Why don't you mute your phone, John? Because that's not fun. That's not how I like to do this podcast. I like all the quirkiness. Anyway, Segura kind of disappeared in the middle of it. No harm, no foul. Just notice it. They started talking about Tony Hinchcliffe and echoed what I said the other day, that I think Tony just took a step up in class, as they say. And from time to time, you've heard me, here's another order. Could you order for Jersey Mike's? I better pause this podcast. Be right back. All right, I've got the orders here. We've got a number 14, the veggie, a number 7, turkey and provolone. That's for me. An original Italian, number 13, and a chipotle cheesesteak. No, we don't want a chipotle cheesesteak. See, it's a good thing I'm doing this bit. We want a regular cheesesteak. All right, that was close. I'm going to hit next here, $38.80. I'm not telling you my credit card number. I'm telling them, but I'm not telling you. Done. Where were we? What's going to happen now is I'm waiting for my banker to call me back, and that's why I had my phone unmuted. So now that it's muted, I'm going to wind up missing his call. Where were we? Let's see. Oh, yeah. I've talked about in the past where I do this Emperor of Rome thing where I don't really laugh. I analyze comedy, and comedians do that in the back of the room. And here's Jimmy Carr talking about that very thing.
I would say, like, I was watching, and there's a bit of you that watches and, from the audience as a comic going, that's good, that's a great line. Okay, you're kind of analyzing and think, I wish I was up there.
And then one more clip. The setup here is Tom and Burt were talking about how they were impressed that Kim Kardashian stayed on point even after being booed, and that led to a discussion of the importance of staying on script, which I clearly just violated ordering Jersey Mike's in the middle of my podcast.
This was something that I kept noticing too, because in seeing Prompter and watching all the acts, one of the things that you pick up on was the people that didn't do well. And there were a few that, like, it was, I'm saying, like, the regular roasting was it wasn't because of them or the material. It's that they kept going off script.
Yeah.
Because we would
trying
read
to make
with
it casual.
Yeah, we read, and they
commit to the bit.
They would read like the top line, and you're like, okay, and they don't realize. See, we know how important economy of words and like you got to say this before. This is the connective tissue to that. And they would go first line. And then I would watch them like riff on that and then try to pick up. And you're like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. You have to stick to the whole thing for the thing at the end to pay off.
Yeah, I thought Kim Kardashian did a great job. I mean,
no, but
that joke
is
about
why
I wouldn't have told anyone. I would have made a sex
The reason I think she was able to, because she ended up getting a couple big pops, is because she stayed in the pocket.
Also, to get booed like that and to just sit with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then to do it. The confidence.
Yeah.
Like, to get booed by that many people, it's like most people would crumble.
While we're analyzing comedy, the 800-pound gorilla tells us Mark Norman's got a new documentary called Page to Stage. Mark is ready to pull back the curtain on how he writes his signature jokes and open up on his creative process. Page to Stage is available on punchup.live. The doc follows Mark Norman as he takes an inkling of a premise that came to him in the bathroom of a fast food chain to 5 different stages in New York City that very night. Over the course of 6 months, Mark sculpts his joke failure after failure throughout Europe and the Midwest until it's finally ready for a sold-out show at Carnegie Hall. That's fun. Norman says these jokes don't write themselves. Rolling Stone caught one of Allie Wong's shows last week during the festival. She told the audience, I didn't expect the news of my divorce to be so widespread in public. I felt embarrassed and ashamed, but I didn't realize that all these media outlets were acting like a bat signal, letting all potentially interested men know I've never been pursued this much in my life. I get a phone call from this guy who I met at a dinner party in the past, and he got my number from a mutual friend. He was like, hey, I just happened to hear the news about your divorce, and I've had a crush on you forever. I actually told my best friend years ago that you were my dream girl. I know it sounds crazy, but I want you to be my girlfriend. She jokes, I was just like, I just paid $25 for the dating app. You seem really nice, but I got to get my money's worth. Every time she arrived at a new location on her vacation, that man sent flowers to every hotel she stayed at. When she told her girlfriends about the gesture, they thought it was sweet. When she told her male friends, they said the man sounded like a psychopath. I'll go with the latter as well. She said, that's how cheap and lazy men have become. When a fellow man commits any act of kindness and a romantic gesture, it must be a symptom of an undiagnosed mental illness. Ellen DeGeneres is returning to Netflix for what she's calling her final stand-up special. This is 6 years after her last hour, which was called Relatable. This one will air later in the year. Ellen says, to answer the questions everyone is asking, yes, I'm going to talk about it. Yes, this is my last special. Yes, Portia really is that pretty in real life. Let's see what's happening down at the Sydney Comedy Festival. I've already played this clip as I pulled the audio, and I really like this from Kevin Duo Jin. Kevin Jin is the physically largest Asian Australian comedian in Sydney. He'd like to talk to you about Buddhism. There'll be Zen riddles, diagrams, and family photos from Kevin's childhood. Before I hit the clip here, I should probably tell you he has a long strand of hair, which you will notice, and he will explain.
I have a foot-long rat tail. Because I want to have a social life on hard mode. And I hate being able to date. My mum actually gave me some dating advice. She said, Kevin, if a girl ever likes you, she's wrong. Which is very mean, but also very silly, because I'm not going to take dating advice from a virgin. I don't mean to brag, but I've actually taken several women out for a night in the city, you know, get a nice dinner in Chinatown, or as I like to call it, town. At the end of the night, I'll be like, oh, hey, I had a really good time. Just want to be clear, was this a date? And sometimes I'll say, oh, I just want to be friends. And that's cool, but sometimes I'll make it weird. They'll be like, oh, I just want to be friends. Also, I don't date Asians. It's not exactly constructive criticism. Like, if anything, this is a genetic condition. But it's all right, though. I've got a really good comeback. They'll be like, oh, don't date Asians. And I'll be like, you know what? That's totally cool. It's totally fine. I don't date racists.
Little clapter at the end there, but I laughed at the front end. Really enjoyed that. Allie Morgan's show is called Hard Lunch. Or is it called Hard Launch? I wrote both down. I'm going to guess launch is correct. Remember the old thing from the 70s? Far Out Space Nuts, was it? They pushed the launch button instead of the lunch button, and they wound up in space. Remember that? You know what I'm talking about? It's called Hard Launch is Allie Morgan's show. No clip, but being really honest, what caught my eye was the cover art that she's using. She looks rather nice in this photo. And, if you're in any sort of showbiz, unless you're recording a podcast in your basement, and I did actually shower before the podcast today, a major step up, how you look is part of it. It really is. Why did I click her cover art as opposed to 30 others? Well, I did click 30 others, but nobody else had any audio, neither does she. But this was the one I went, I'm interested in seeing what Allie Morgan has to say. Allie graduated from drama school, ready to take on any role that came her way, and what came her way was commercials. The Sydney Morning Herald said newcomer could be a younger Tim Minchin. That's high praise, 4 stars. The Sydney Scoop, 5 stars. Belly laughs, they said. Australian Arts Review said, we can expect Morgan to make some big waves in the near future. And the Theater People gave her 4.5 stars, saying part Bo Burnham, part Hannah Gadsby. Morgan holds her audience in the palm of her hand. All right, that sounds good. Far Out Magazine caught up with John Cleese. Cleese was talking about how there should be a separate Oscar category for comedies. The topic, Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, the 1964 movie, was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Actor for Peter Sellers. It won none. Cleese noted that Sellers lost out on Best Actor to Rex Harrison for his role in My Fair Lady. Cleese feels that Sellers had one of the greatest comedy performances of all time. Of course, they never give Oscars to funny people. I think there is an extraordinary, completely incorrect idea that drama is somehow more important and more difficult than comedy, whereas in my opinion, comedy is a great deal more difficult. All you have to do if you get a straight part is you've got to make certain choices to make them believable. If you've got to be funny, you've got to make certain choices, make them believable, and then put all of your comedy technique on top of that, which a lot of straight actors don't have. There are some actors who can do funny and some very good actors who can't, but I think all the very, very best comedians can act. Interesting. Seth Meyers. He'll be hosting Late Night with Seth Meyers through 2028. In case you're curious about the rest of the gang, John Oliver's deal goes through 26. Stephen Colbert has a 3-year deal that he signed last year, so 2 years left on that. And Kimmel, he's getting near the end here of this deal at 25. He's talked about retiring, but I'll believe it when I see it. And TheStranger.com has been asking comedians who were performing at the Egyptian about the ghosts. They asked Sam Miller, "Hey, Sam Miller, this show's at the Egyptian, which is rumored to be haunted. Do you believe in ghosts?" I don't know why I like this bit. Sam Miller said, "I don't, and I checked. I used to stay up for 3 days at a time, and if anyone would have seen a ghost, it would have been me. But I've been wrong before. So don't take any chances." And that is your comedy news for today. If you like these episodes ad-free, $4.99. Caloroga Shark Plus. You get this and the other shows on the network ad-free. Try it for 30 days. If you don't like it, then don't keep doing it. I'm not offended. Just giving you options. See you tomorrow.